like the deal's totally official now and stuff. Just like, what do you think is the key to kind of getting these guys in and just up to speed as soon as you can?
Yeah. Well, obviously we're excited to have them. We want to integrate them as quickly as we can. We know that we play in a couple days already, and we'll have a good week after that to practice. But I think just being able to get them in the gym, allow them to kind of understand our concepts, both offensively and defensively. We're not too worried about roles and all that stuff. Just trying to get them to understand who we are, our identity, and what we're going to expect from them going forward, and just kind of go from there.
I've never seen like the 3 days of camp and then preseason game in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, have you experienced anything like this, and what do you think about it?
It's probably my first time. I like to play games, but at the same time, I think it's kind of quick, especially since we got 6 days after the first one. Either way, I think we'll enjoy it. We'll have fun. It's about getting better. It's about reestablishing who we are. Now that we have some newer guys on the team, reestablishing that with them and going forward.
You've played against them enough. Can you just give us a scouting report on Julius and Dante and what they might bring to this team?
Yeah, Julius, I think of him just like as a relentless type player. He's a guy that constantly puts pressure on you. He can bring the ball up the court with pace, makes plays. He's kind of a point forward in that sense, and just all-around player. And then I think Dante, I think his resume speaks for itself. He's a championship level player, does all the little things you need somebody to do and more given his role or what the night might ask from him. Elite shooter. I think he's a great defender. I think he'll be great within our schemes and sets too. So just excited to see both of them on the court.
Kind of acclimation process when you get new teammates like this, learning their tendencies, little things like how they like to catch the ball, where their spots are, things like that. How long was that process usually take?
Yeah, trying to get that continuity and getting familiar with each other. It can take a few weeks to a month, a few regular season games, and a lot of it is like situational stuff. So you don't know it until you're in those spots. I don't know how many reps I'll get with Dante or Julius at certain things at certain times of a game, and you kind of go through that as the season progresses, and then you start to realize, exactly where they like the ball or exactly what they like in this moment of a game or late game situations, what they're more likely to be capable of doing than not, and just learning each other, as you go.
Speaking of late game situations, how do you anticipate that being different for you guys this year? Specifically as it relates to
obviously, we'll rely a lot on Ant, but I think we're trying to not have him do everything late. If we can start to pivot and have other guys involved, other sets involved, that gives us a little bit more structure, a little bit more of a direction of what we want to try to get out of that particular play. Having guys like Julius, Dante, Jaden, Nas, you can go down a list of guys. You don't know who's going to finish a game sometimes. And all those guys can be implemented for late game situations. We're just going to have to be able to figure those things out together. And like I said, we just don't want to make it a one-man show and have Ant, have to carry us every night.
Dante had an insane amount of three-point volume last year, like towards the top of the league. Is that attainable on this team, you think? Like, is that possible to replicate that?
I think if we play faster, which I think is possible, I think we can, we're going to try to push that ball a little bit more and throw it ahead to guys, try to get to the rim, try to put more pressure on the rim. Like I said with Julius, I think that's something that he really does a great job of, sometimes getting a rebound, just going head down and drawing three defenders, and boom, there's Dante corner three, or me, or Ant, or whoever's in the game. So I think just speeding that end of it up will give him more opportunities. So hopefully, I can't say for sure, but I'd love to see him shoot more than not.
Sounds like a no.
We don't know.
Mike, you guys have fewer traditional guards on the team this year, obviously yourself, but what's the key to kind of making that work at point for 48 minutes, and maybe in the minutes that you want out there? Like, how do you need to handle the point guard position?
Yeah, well, obviously I think the way our team is built right now, we have a lot of guys who are capable of doing it for a shorter period of time by committee. When those groups are on the floor together, we might have a 6, 7 and above group out there with, like, say, Joe Ingles or somebody like that, who can more than likely run the point. He's been doing it his whole career. You know, doesn't have to bring it up all the time, but move it. You know, get into certain sets that require us to move a little bit, cut, take advantage of size or mismatches, and not have to put so much pressure on like the decision maker. So you know, I think we're going to work on how we're going to accomplish that with lineups with, you know, without me or Rob or whoever else is in the game, other than a true point guard.
It feels sounds like he's wanted to improve that like command, like be more of that point guard presence, like when he's out there in that role. What's been your biggest piece of advice of like how to do that? To be like, to kind of make it obvious that he is the point guard when he's out there, and maybe having that presence and control of the game.
Well, I think you have to flip a switch. You know, when you're a point guard at that point, especially with the guys on the floor, you have to be thinking about everybody else. It's no longer about like your one position and if you cut or not cut. It's I got to get Rudy the ball somehow in this play, or how am I going to get Ant open, or who's hot, who's not. Reading the floor and not turning it over. You know, being solid with the ball, making the easy reads, the easy plays. And for him, I think that's about as simple as it gets, because we know what he's capable of bringing defensively and offensively when he, you know, has spurts where he does, you know, bring it up and handle it. But we just don't want to have to ask too much of anybody. So just make it simple for him and go from there.
Mike, last year was, I think, maybe your best three-point shooting of the season. Does that become even more important now that Cat's not here? I mean, Dante comes in as a volume shooter, but maybe in terms of looking for more space out there to give this group?
Yeah, I think it does. Hopefully I get to shoot those 10 threes a game you were referring to, kind of. I would love to shoot more. But yeah, I'd love to, you know, keep that spacing and keep our continuity with our offense with the ability to knock down shots and do it at a higher frequency and create lanes for our guys. And I think obviously Dante, Jaden's shooting it better, Nas shoots it well. We've got shooters, but you know, with the guys who start lineups and stuff like that, you know, if I got to do it, I'll shoot more.
Mike, has anybody stood out in these 2 days of practice with, like, guys that you've been playing with, or maybe you've been playing with them for a couple weeks now? Anybody like?
Yeah. I mean, really, all the young guys have really played well. They've had a great offseason. I think Josh Minot is the one that stood out to me when I got back a week ago, and even today. Jalen Clark, I mean, Terrence, you go down the list. I mean, all those young guys. Rob has played well. Jesse, I mean, we've had a bunch of guys really have moments during the first 2 days where you're just like, I see the work you've been putting in. So very excited about them, and it just adds to our depth.
Like, you've been around long enough, what has to happen for a team to not regress when you make such a big change like this? I mean, Cats obviously was a big piece. These guys can also be a big piece. What has to happen on a team in the locker room to make this a quick and seamless transition?
Well, I think number one for us is refocusing our mind. You know, we're a new team. This is not the same team from last year. Different team from Western Conference Finals. And we have to reestablish ourselves, reestablish our identity, that hunger, that drive. The things that got us to playing in end of May and early June was the things we're doing today. You know, how we started preseason, how we treated the first preseason game, you know, not cutting corners. Like, all that has to be, you know, driven into everybody's minds. The new guys coming in, they have to follow suit. Like, you got to jump on that train and don't look back. And I think if we can do that early, I think we'll have no issues of, you know, building towards that goal.
Mike, Coach had talked about Rob Bellingham being more of a lob threat with Rudy Gobert. What advice do you have for someone coming into the league to get that chemistry a little faster than we've seen before?
Yeah, we worked before practice a lot, and we've had me, him, and Rudy all in the same drills. And for him, being a smaller guard, is just being, you know, your pace, timing, you know, understanding Rudy, because Rudy's a unique player to play with. So understanding where he likes the ball, how high you can throw it. You can throw it as far as you want. You can go get it. You know, just you know, understanding all those concepts of you know, where the help defenders are coming from, and how quickly you have to get it up to get to them. And I think he's done a good job of kind of retaining all that info. He's a talented dude and can already kind of do it all anyway. So I'm not too much help right now. So I think you know, just if I find little things here and there, I might you know, pull him aside and let him know.
Thanks, Mike.
Sorry, I'm worried about getting everybody else shot.